What is up, down and sideways, all you beautiful individuals? It is another episode of League Unlocked. My name is Eric, flying Han Solo in that beautiful, beautiful spaceship today as we are looking, grading, and predicting, previewing all these different words to Esports Nations Cup, because we've had a lot of rosters that are either past the rumored phase or basically just fully established now. So we're going to grade what rosters we have so far. There's still some heavy hitters that are obviously missing. There's the drama with whether or not South Korea will actually participate. China doesn't have a roster announced yet. The Taiwan squad, all these different ones. But we do have a lot of the EU rosters, at least what pieces are going to be, as well as some of the North American ones, etc. So we're going to just go through. There's like 10 plus to look at here, and there's a lot of medal contenders, starting with the very closest, nearest and dearest to our hearts, and that is Team Canada. Basically what we thought it was going to be primarily, except instead of Licorice in as a sub, it's Shaden, who's going to come in alongside Kryra in that jungle spot. Also threw in Spearaxe as a, one of the upcomer NACL, the up-and-comer NACL mid laner for Maryville University, but obviously JoJo going to be the main starter there. And listen, bot lane wise, this has the legit potential to be the best at the entire tournament, at least not the entire tournament, in terms of Western squads at the very least. And Jojo Pion's obviously having one of the best splits of his career over in Europe with Movistar Koi, and Zamudo is kind of a mystery because we haven't actually seen him in Tier 1 play despite his very, very best efforts to get there. And I think Kryra will probably be the main starter, and on an actual team with actual laners, I'm excited. I know this top side is kind of the weak point, but I'm excited to see Kryra with legit players and Samudo actually in that Tier 1 play. And everybody is forgetting that Dylan Falco, as the actual head coach, architect of this roster, is one of, if not the premier Western coach. So having him be alongside these guys I'm excited for this squad, and it's a legit medal contender. Again, outside of whatever China, and if Korea comes, I think this is a squad you can put as in that conversation for next squad up. Throw in the JoJo and Vulcan inherent synergy that's already been there, and we are feeling very good about what Canada is putting forward for this roster. A theme of next squads up or legit contenders. I think this one still hasn't been as finalized as some of the other ones, but Team Poland is looking pretty darn good. We know Inspired is going to be there, and we know Busio, number one, takes the squad to another level, but is choosing Poland over Team USA. His dad participated for Team Poland in the Olympics, so he's following in those footsteps, which is actually fantastic. I didn't think there was any chance he'd be here on the Polish roster, but really, it's probably better than the American roster when you look at it. Obviously, a whole lot of LEC experience, MVP, and Inspired. Busio's been the best support in EU. Trayson has shown, moments on Heretics, and Chayak has... This is the guy who I think we were a little surprised even lost the starting spot on Vitality to Humanoid. Absolutely an LEC caliber mid laner. And then Harpoon in that bot lane. If you watched any of these EWC qualifiers, Galleons were beaten up on a lot of these LEC squads. And Harpoon in the bot lane was absolutely one of the main reasons why they were so lethal. So legit, this Polish squad, if things go well, and listen, Inspired and Busio is enough to feel really good about them, but actually some core pieces around them, they'll still be the de facto leaders of that squad. And yes, they will most likely be speaking in English, not Polish, especially with Busio on that squad. But this might be the best European team. There's a couple we're going to get to that are, comparable and competitive, similar power levels, but right off the get-go, on paper, this Polish squad looks like maybe the best of the tourney. Throw in Jankos as a coach in some capacity, because there were basically no subs so far. Obviously, Busio coming kind of takes that spot from Trimby. Maybe Trimby's on here in some capacity. There are opportunities to have two subs on the squad, but at the moment, Poland does not really need any subs to be coming in. There's lots of subs on one of the other top tier European squads, and that is the Spanish squad. And obviously, heavily featuring MCOY, which you would expect. Remember, it's only 3 players maximum from a single organization. So it's Mirwin, Elyoya, and Alvaro that are the squad, are the players that will be representing MCOY. Oscar Renan comes in as a sub who is not on Fnatic anymore. And then the bot lane consisting of Flacket and Legolas, who's been around for a long time. He's on Barca Esports right now, obviously a Spanish league. And Flacket's someone we're very familiar with. The main question mark here is, of course, Hydra in that mid lane, who, you know, is an ERL guy, but not one of the more hyped up mid laners. So going from Jojo Pion for Mirwin, Elyoya, and Alvaro to Hydra is obviously going to be a steep bit of a drop off. And I know looking at this roster, people, and myself included, are going, is there an angle where you're maybe putting Mirwin mid lane over Hydra, throw Oscar Renan in that top side? They don't have them listed as subs in that capacity where it's a sub for, you know, it's just 2 top laners. It's not a potential mid lane angle, but I might consider it if I was Team Spain, depending on how things go, how Hydra holds up against the rest, because we know Mirwin's champion pool is absolutely nutty. A lot of them could be mid laners anyways, and mid lane is still very different than top lane, of course, but there's some other role swap potential on some of these other rosters where it is that balance of, do you want a guy who's maybe less comfortable in a specific role, but overall a more, you know, a higher ceiling player or a more capable player that has already delivered on that tier 1 scene. So interesting to see how that one's going to develop for Spain. But obviously a lot of LEC talent around there, and much like the Polish squad, that jungle support is absolute S tier. Obviously inspired in Busio, have previous experience together on FlyQuest, but Elyoya and Alvaro have current experience on MCOY and have been 2 of the absolute best in the entire LEC. So that should be enough for this Spanish squad to be at least on that podium potential. Of course, we can't talk about the elite European squads without getting to Team France, who don't even have subs at the moment on this roster, but still, even with guys like Adam and Nuke, who have played together before, Nuke on a down year with shifters, Adam on a down year while not really being on a team, but Skewmond and Kaliste are legit best in their region for their respective roles at the bare minimum in that conversation. So that alone is enough for you to be excited about this French roster and talk about the absolute motivation factor that will come for guys like Adam and Nuke. It's a hard reset anytime you're doing, obviously, a national event like this. It doesn't matter what your record is in the LEC. It doesn't matter what team you last played on. You're starting from ground zero and going to go against some of the best players in the world. So this kind of rounds out, at least these are my big 3 when you're looking at the current grading of rosters for this Nations Cup, and these are 3 EU squads that I think could absolutely be vying for that podium alongside those Canadian boys that we alluded to. But I think any of these first 4 squads we're talking about are, I mean, I won't put them in S tier because that seems reserved for some Chinese and Korean players, but maybe in that A tier, that next group up that, again, could be pushing, even if it's just for a bronze medal, pushing into that top 3 status, and that is absolutely something to be excited about if you are fans or natives of these respective countries. There's lots of other EU squads that could level up or, you know, overperform and perhaps be pushing into that category, but there's more issues or bigger concerns for a lot of these other squads. But one of the more fun ones to look at, and we kind of speculated on what this roster could look like, is the Czech Republic. Obviously, highlights are Humanoid and Karzi, pals from Vitality, best bromance in the LEC, but you'll see this is chock full. 7 players, a couple different substitutes, 3 mid laners, because you've got Mr. Oman from Galleons, who, much like Harpoon, we talked about this incredible ERL squad, and then a little role swap action with Jackies in at support to round out a trio of mid laners. And I mean, throw him on some mages in that bot lane and let's see what he can cook up. I absolutely love that Jackie's is involved in this roster. This is a classic point of you just want to get your best available players in whatever capacity that is. Carzzy probably going to start more than Patrick in that bot lane, but we'll see. The big issue, though, is still the top side of this map, and Babista has been one of standout ERL top laners on Verdant Gaming, and I think on some Reddit threads you heard his coach absolutely hyping him up, but Twite is obviously going to be the bigger issue here. No team at the moment and a clear liability on this roster. I shouldn't say liability, at least omega question mark in terms of what level of performance you're going to get. And I think jungle is kind of the most suspect role for a lot of these European squads when, you get outside of that Elyoya, Skewmond, maybe Yike potential. It becomes a little dicier for what level you're going to get out of them. But Czech Republic, the mid and bot lane are going to be an absolute treat, fun time to watch. And if that top lane can at least be serviceable or hold their own, not get too far behind, then who knows what the ceiling is for this Czech squad. Everybody's talked about, 6-8 years ago, Team Denmark would have been an absolute lock for top 3 at an event like this with Caps, Bjergsen, Jensen, Peak, Sven, but we're a few years removed from that. But that's not to say this roster still doesn't look interesting. Wonder, despite a disappointing SK Gaming season, had a pretty solid performance. Another Galleons member in Carlson, who might actually start more of the games. Sven, down bot, is okay, great. Das is okay. No team at the moment. Of course, no sub for mid. All you need is Caps. But listen, Caps, Sven, and then Carlson Wonder as the core for this squad is pretty good. You should be feeling excited about that. Das, a little suspect. And then the jungle combo of Seaboy and Wojo. Seaboy has actually been around for a long time, by the way. 27 years old, has been playing for the better over 10 years, almost as long as Caps, just primarily in the ERLs at that point. I think Wojo will probably get more opportunities. He's the younger guy, will probably be very open to learning and taking advice from the veterans of this squad. But yeah, that jungle spot, again, much like the Czech one we were just talking about, is hella suspect, especially when you think of the world beaters, just even in the Western scene. Even if you throw in Team USA when they're going to come, you assume it's going to be Blabber in that spot. There's going to be a lot of heavy-hitting junglers that Team Denmark is going to have to deal with, and I'm not sure I'm super confident that they will be able to compete against them. But listen, never doubt Caps, and even though Sven, Cloud9 having a great split. Sven is maybe a passenger princess at times, but that dual carry threat of them alongside Carlson and Wonder is enough to be excited about for this Danish roster. There's a whole lot to be excited about for the Turkish roster, which honestly might be a sleeper contending with the likes of Spain and France near the top of that European table, and that's even without Knock Knocko being on this roster. And yes, he could have been, because Rylesh and Paris, that's 2 Na'Vi members, but Knock Knocko could have come over from Vitality alongside his buddy Fleshy and had some inherent synergy, but it is Broken Blade who's going to be the starting top laner, and you might go, why wasn't he playing on Team Germany? We'll get to them on a minute, and you'll see why he doesn't want to be there. But Aignoth on Solari is that young player that is maybe the biggest, again, question mark on this squad, because Saren has had decent moments on Team Heretics. He'll have a better roster around him than he did on that Heretics roster, as Rylish is a guy you don't need to worry about in the jungle, and even having Closer as a potential sub really makes you feel confident about that position. I'm kind of more surprised Knock Knocko didn't come in as a sub over one of Paris or Fleshy, because it's insane to not have this dude on your roster when he's legit in MVP conversations for the LEC. So that's a little bit of a mystery. Like, this Turkish roster, it already looks good, but it could have been even better, and you could legit maybe be talking about them right there with France, with Spain at the top of these European squads. Poland as well, forgot to mention them again. yes, shout out to them as maybe the best of the best. But the reason you'll see Broken Blade is on Team Turkey and not on Team Germany is when you see the rest of that German roster and you're going, okay. 3 members from Big, and listen, Big has been the dominant ERL German squad. That entire top side with the relevant Habubu and Rieker, all familiar guys. Dayor's a guy we've seen in the LEC. K2I's a guy we've seen in the LEC. Support less so, but G2 Nord getting represented with Takibo. But there's a lot of German players you're not seeing on this list. Where's Upset? Where's Kaiser? Where's Power of Evil, who's still playing? Well, Upset declined to join the squad. Kaiser is actually on Big, so you would have had to have bumped one of these other 3 off, but he also declined anyways, and Power of Evil also said on stream that he was not interested in joining the squad. So perhaps there's an angle where Broken Blade was, privy to this information that all of these guys would not be on the roster and decided to choose Team Turkey, which, again, on paper, looks a lot better than that German squad. Maybe the trio of Big can surprise and rep for the ERLs and kind of showcase a little bit more. But, I mean, really the question is for a tournament like this is what is considered a success? Because outside of top 3, of course, you're not coming away with any hardware. But, are you really... I don't know. Is winning some rounds, is top 8, is qualifying into the top 16, what is considered a success? That's obviously going to vary team to team, but for somebody like Team Germany, I think getting an upset win against a better European or other country on paper, there's going to be, I forget the exact number, I feel like there's 32 teams, maybe it's only 16, but there's a lot of rosters that we're not even going to get to today, like Algeria, Romania, that are putting together legit 6-7 man rosters. It's just, are they actually going to be able to be competitive, pick up some wins against some of these other squads? And with some of the other rosters we're seeing, I mean, Germany can still absolutely come away with some wins against some of these other squads. Final trio here to talk about, and there's still some pretty good rosters when we dive into South America, like Team Argentina, who's got a lot of familiar faces. Cheo and Lions obviously have both played in the LCS and done well in the CB LOL. And how about Mr. Jose Diodo? Was in MVP conversation for a little while, but that is a legit star jungler for Argentina. And I mean, this is a squad that could absolutely pick up some wins. Everybody but Zoan in that top lane, who's on Pain Academy, is a face you've either seen in the LCS or seen internationally. So no reason that they couldn't show up and, surprise some people on the day with Jose Diodo now as that, again, de facto leader of this squad. But the bot lane of Cheo and Lions obviously have played together in the past as well, so there's some built-in inherent synergy on that squad. Don't sleep on Argentina. And you want to talk about synergy, absolutely do not sleep on Team Brazil making some noise at an event like this. 3/5 of that Furia squad who completely destroyed the LCS at the America's Cup in Tatu, Toots, and AU. I mean, those were kind of the 3 guys that you would choose from that roster who were not only the best trash talkers but best performing individuals on the Rift. And then you throw in Gino, who's like the most hyped up top laner in the CB LOL, young player right now, solo kill king, and Frosty from Red Canids. And again, this team might be better than what Team USA ends up putting together, and would not be shocked if they steal some wins away from them. But we're done sleeping on the CB LOL after what they did to the LCS at America's Cup, what they've done at international events, not just against North America, but even EU, and even pushing some of these Chinese and Korean squads. So Team Brazil is a squad that very much so could compete with some of the best Western squads that were putting forth on the Rift here, and excited to see them. The fans will be absolutely nutty regardless of where a tournament like this ends up being played. The CB LOL fans will travel. One more little fun squad to talk about is Team Belgium, and that's because there's a surprising amount of LEC talent on this Belgian squad. Isma on Giant X stands out. Niski, who's on ZYB Esports, in case you haven't been paying attention there. Targamas, who's on French Flair, obviously from KC and G2. And Mr. Bwipo, Mr. Worldwide in that top/jungle. Yes, he's listed as both a sub for top and jungle. Razoric is coming in with no squad as the top laner. You got to imagine Bwipo is more likely to be playing top lane than jungle when you have someone a little more reliable in Ishma than the young player on that other side. But Niski and Bwipo are enough of a dual threat of personalities to make this team exciting to watch. Even if, the bot lane, Evangeline from Lily Esport, not super confident in them delivering, but the drama that Bwipo and Niski will bring just purely in their comms will be a sight to see for this Belgian squad. There's also a Norwegian squad that's kind of leader and friends around him, which would be listen, in a tournament format like this, leader is just going to absolutely cook and play Zed, Irelia, Master Yi, Yasuo only in that mid lane, which really is no different than what he was doing in the LEC, honestly. But big name squads that we're still kind of waiting on rosters to be finalized or rumored are obviously Sweden, China, and South Korea, as we've alluded to, and the American squad. And we've kind of guessed what the US squad would look like. Dokla, Blabber, APA, Jan. We thought it was going to be Busio, but now the support spot is wide open. And again, on whatever rumored American squad is going to be put forth, I'm putting them below squads like France, Spain, Poland, Canada for sure. It's probably more in that second tier up that we were talking about in the Czech Republic, Denmark kind of matchup. So we'll see what that roster ends up finally being. But there's a lot of exciting squads to look at that can either disappoint, overperform. We'll see what type of pride is taken on these rosters when you are representing your home nation internationally. Again, an event that we have not seen in League of Legends or esports in a very long time. So it should be interesting as it continues to develop, and I'm sure there'll be drama along the way. But that is it today for League Unlocked. My name is Eric. Thank you to all you beautiful people for hanging out as always, and we'll catch you on that flippity flip.